Well, good evening. This is Rick Howland, in place of Dr. Frank Simon. Welcome to the rest of the news. Tonight, I'm co-hosting. I won't say guest hosting. I'll say co-hosting with MeShorn Daniels, the founding and the proprietor of Personal Believers Plus. That's his company. You've probably heard his name associated with the Focus Show on the internet. It's an internet radio program that I take part in when I have opportunity. It's streamed worldwide. But he's also part of a group we've heard in the news here recently, Man Up. Man Up is a group that is community oriented, especially kind of focused at working with young men. And how you doing, MeShorn?
Hey, what's up, Rick? It's good to be on the show with you, man. And this, I'm actually the owner and operator of Professional Believers Plus.
Right. I got you. Owner and operator.
Personal, but Professional Believers Plus.
Did I say personal?
Yes, you did say personal.
Well, man, look, I pretend to be a talk show host. I get away with it in the neighborhood.
Yeah, we're gonna keep one another honest and everything. You got your show. I say you are the black conservative, right?
Yeah, Black Heart Conservative.
Black Heart.
Yes. Okay. Now he corrected me, and I corrected him. Yeah.
So we're gonna have a good time on this show. Both of us can talk here. So
The main issue that we're going to be discussing this evening, MeShorn, is the dinner that we attended for Lifehouse Louisville, the Unity for Life banquet that was on the 5th of May, about 20 days ago now, I guess, 17, 18 days ago, at Marriott.
Right.
Exactly. And Joan Smith is the chairman of that group. But we went down there to hear Dr. Ben Carson speak.
Yes, and what a great event it was.
Yeah.
We're talking about 900 plus people was there to see Dr. Ben Carson, and I actually got a picture with him and got an opportunity to talk to him. Oh, yeah.
Good. Did you get a signature in that book?
I got a signature in this book as well.
Okay.
So I was pretty excited about that. So what I was really impressed with a lot of his comments and everything. It was a concern that I came later that maybe we talk about and get your point of view on that I saw that he went to an extreme measure to not talk about it and everything. So I bring that up to you a little later. Let's where you want to go with the idea of Dr. Ben Carson. Did we talk about, first of all, did we talk about where is Dr. Simon? What is he doing?
Oh, Dr. Simon snuck off.
Yeah.
Dr. Simon went back to school.
Yeah, that's what I thought I heard.
Yeah,
He's trying to get his PhD approved.
No, Dr. Simon.
Registered.
No, Dr. Simon.
He's just trying to pass the test. Recertify.
He's making sure his certifications are all in order.
Right.
And he's studying.
Right.
And he's preparing himself to take an exam. And Dr. Simon is one of those people that likes to operate in excellence.
Yes, and the only reason I want to bring that up because I wanted to congratulate him and encourage him and all his followers and everything that you put a prayer for him and making sure that he be able to pass and come back and be back here to host this show all over again.
Right.
And also, I have to, just so he doesn't know this, but I wanted to make sure he hear this from me, is that Professional Believers, my company, wouldn't even be in existence had I not had that experience with Dr. Simon.
Really?
Yes. Dr. Simon allowed me about 4 or 5 years ago to go with him when he was doing these America Speak speaking engagements all around the city and everything. And we was driving to different cities and everything in Kentucky. and he allowed me to roll with him. And at the
Okay.
time, my company was called Garmy Inc.
I remember.
And Garmy Inc. at the time was God Ain't Released Me Yet, okay? And I was one of the speakers at the event and everything. I was pretty excited about that. But the thing that led to Professional Believers is that every time I spoke, 3 different times, people came over to my table and they said, MeShorn, you speak so professional in the manner that you talk about your relationship with your Lord and Savior and God. Man, you're such a professional. And, you know, the very first time I heard that, it was there. But it happened 3 different times with Dr. Simon. And so after that, I thought about it
And flip the name.
and prayed about it and said, hey, Professional Believers Plus. It is.
I always wondered about that because I remember Garmy.
Yeah.
And then it was Professional Believers Plus, and then Garmy just disappeared.
Well, yeah.
And I didn't think any more about it
Yeah.
after a while. But
Well, that's the rest of
that's
the story. That's since it's a news and update. I want to let everybody understand it birthed this place here
Right.
with hanging out with Dr. Simon. So I owe that
Right.
to that credit to Professional Believers Plus.
Well, one of the best parts of the night for me, when we were at Ben Carson's speech for Lifehouse Louisville, was it was like old home week in a way because Dr. Simon was there, you were there, I was there,
Yeah.
Eileen was there. I mean, it was the table was full of Tom Reiner was there, so we were having a lot of fun there,
Yeah.
and then boom, man, when Dr. Carson got up. He gave an excellent talk. Talked about his life, talked about his mom, talked about some of his experiences. And one of the things that struck me the most, and why I think he is so valuable to low income and urban youth as a role model. And me and MeShorn aren't into the black-white thing. We're forced because of our culture. And dealing in the news and dealing with issues, we have to talk in terms of black and white.
Right.
But neither one of us is hung up on it. But he has value for any demographic of young person that as they come up against things in their lives that seem to be unsurmountable, that they can overcome them.
You know, and I've gotten just a tremendous amount of arguments or discussions with people when I say no excuses. You know,
Right.
I don't want to hear no excuses. And he actually spoke to that when he said that his mother would not accept any excuses.
Yeah.
Okay, and the only excuse she would accept is the excuse that he could. he
Yeah.
could overcome. He
Yeah.
could achieve and thing. And I thought that was very good because it confirmed what I was saying about not having excuses. You know, anybody can make a many of different excuses of why you can't
It was
accomplish.
interesting. His mother was brilliant. It was when he would come to her with an excuse, she would tell him, so
Yeah.
but Mama, I didn't know, or Mama, I couldn't. Nobody told me, and she would look at him and tell him, "You have a brain.
Right.
You can think."
Yes.
And the insinuation is, "You're my child. You know what I expect from you. You know right from wrong. You have a brain. You can think. There's no excuse for you not doing right. There's no excuse for you not doing your best."
And the fact of the matter is that even his own mother didn't show that she made excuses for her condition.
No, she didn't make excuses for her
She
situation.
herself decided that she was going to overcome, or she
Yeah.
was going to make a way for her children. I really liked the part where he said that she was only on government assistance for a little while, but she didn't stay on it. She wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be something that was going to be part of her life. It was going to be part. She didn't want her children to feel that she got the hand out from the government. She wanted to make sure that she was going to make her own way, which I thought that was very.
There was something that he said that gave me the impression she saw what was occurring to people around
Right,
her.
that is right. And she did not want to feel like she didn't want that burden of feeling that.
She was noticing the loss of independence and the weakening of the people around her who were accepting the government assistance
Did
and
they never
staying on
see?
it.
I think he actually said that they didn't look like they would ever come off of it.
Yeah, and it mattered her less whether they had more than her or less than her. It was important to her that she not be dependent.
Right, not be dependent.
Yeah,
And
now,
I thought
that's the gist of what he
yeah,
said.
and I really resonated with that because I think my mother was
Right.
the example of that as well. I mean, I might have had all the problems with my mother being a very strong and dominating woman, but one of the things I loved about her is that my mother did not accept government assistance either. She would make her own way. She that was her thing. She didn't.
Right.
My mother would not take it. Okay.
Right.
So I was empowered by that and everything. That my mother didn't want to be on the government assistance. Partly, but to be honest, part of the reason why my mother had problems in taking anything from the white people.
Right.
My mother didn't like taking anything from white people, so that was her major reason why
Right.
she did not want to be on government assistance.
Right.
Okay.
Well, there was I remember that an element of that among my father's generation. My father was born in 1902. My mother was born in 1913, and it wasn't that they had a problem with white people, but the problem was they didn't want. There was some people that wanted to help you and wanted to help you out of the goodness of their heart, and then
Right.
there were other people that wanted to help you to use you,
Right.
and then there were other people that wanted to help you so they could hold it over your head.
Exactly.
And it wasn't a matter. It wasn't the matter of their complexion. The problem that generation had gotten from their parents, who were the children of slaves or were slaves themselves, the idea that no matter how hard it is, it's better to be free than to be beholden. And in Scripture it says the borrower is slave to the lender.
Right. Right.
And they took that seriously.
Now, it's funny how we led to the very thing. As much as I enjoyed Dr. Ben Carson, and I got a book, and I got a signed copy of his book, American, the Beautiful, and everything. As I started reflecting back and I started listening, thinking about everything I heard, I actually had a point where I kind of was frowned upon some things that he actually said or actually didn't say in his whole speech, and he spoke very well, and makes me wonder, was he just placating to the audience, which we had a 900 plus room to room audience of people there, but one of my things is that you could not dismiss the fact that he is black, African American, or as I say, descendants of American slaves, and that room was 95% European Americans or whites, as those who wants to say that.
Well, everybody he had quite a few people that wanted to be his friend and his buddy.
Yeah.
In the African American political scene, until he appeared at that breakfast a couple of years ago.
Yeah, until he appeared
where he talked about politics from a biblical perspective.
Right.
Talked about raising taxes and the whole idea that a better system of taxation would be a system that was based on the principles of how God formulates the idea of the tithe.
Right.
Where you have people paying a percentage of what they own. And the rich pay more and the poor pay less than the rich, but everybody pays the same amount based on proportion. And he talked about several issues, healthcare and so forth.
But what he did
from political
because he said
from politics from a biblical perspective, and as soon as he did that, then he became very unpopular with the African Americans who were so in love with.
It wasn't necessary. That's the part where I was kind of disappointed in him because he actually said he wasn't going to be PC. He said he wasn't going to be politically correct and everything. But then I think, and I wanted you to talk to me about this.
Yeah.
I think he went to an extreme measure to not mention anything that associated with his heritage as being black or an African American. He didn't say anything about, this country in the struggle of slavery that got us through. Even he didn't even talk anything about his own backing of racial tension of things, and he had to have had some because there's no way it couldn't have gone through what he've gone through. And I think because the reason I think that's very important because he spoke so highly about everything else about being an American, what American stood by, what American is about, and in the struggles and everything. But he never, not one time, and and I'm a proud descendant of American slaves. I'm very proud of the fact that I was formed, created here, and manufactured here as a descendant of that culture. And
manufactured
is the word.
They bred us like cattle.
That's right.
We were bred
and
as
so
cattle.
to not mention that at all in his conversation, his whole conversation of any sort of anything, was kind of, I thought I had a reflection. What's your take on that?
Well, that didn't bother me for this reason. He was there to talk about the underlying theme of what he talked about was a love and respect for God.
Right.
His blessings came from God. Love and respect for family. Love and respect for traditional values. Love and respect for the Constitution. And the way our culture functions now is as soon as you mention the element of race, then it creates a whole nother dynamic.
So he PC.
So I'm not sure if I would call it PC.
Yeah, well, it was a political correctness because he placated to the audience that was the dominant audience there. Because in all actuality, I think so.
Not mentioning African American.
Well, it's not the fact that I needed him to mention
not mentioning race.
No, not mentioning I think you're missing my point.
Isn't placating to the group,
point,
to the audience.
The point of not mentioning the struggles that being the culture that he was obvious, he was representing, he was a representation of that, and the struggles of that, of how he became to be this doctor and how his mother and everything, to not to put that somewhere within that conversation was kind of, I thought, it seemed a little extra, maneuver to keep it out, okay, because I cannot talk about MeShorn's struggles and my experience and everything.
I see what you're saying. If I tell my life story,
he was talking about his life story.
Yeah, there was stuff. Yeah, there's no way I could get around it.
There's no way you could talk about your life story.
There's no way I could talk about growing up in Louisville in the West End without talking about
the struggle.
The struggle, because
the racial tension.
Yeah, there were things that affected.
That's all I'm talking about.
Right. But it doesn't matter.
But it was a good job. He did a good. I'm not taking away that it was a very good.
I would come at it from this point of view, that for him to put it in would be being PC.
Oh no, I don't think so.
For this reason,
that's almost. I'm gonna placate with you. That's all. No. That's almost.
You posed the question.
That's almost like.
This is what happens when you have two talk show hosts.
That's almost like the president when the president that really got me realizing I had a problem with him when he gonna say he been at his pastor church for 20 years, but he never knew that the pastor talked that way.
Yeah.
Well, come on, hold up here, buddy. How do you gonna be somewhere for 20 years and not know?
Hold on there, buddy. Let Mr. Talk Show host. Let me talk for a minute. PC can run both ways. Maybe he wasn't being politically correct. By leaving that out. He was talking about his struggle as an American, no matter what you're up against. Everybody has a struggle of some kind. If you're from Appalachia, some of the most, I've never been abused personally, okay, as I've witnessed when I first went to Murray State, and some of the people that came from Appalachia to go to Murray State. There were Caucasians at Murray State who would rather be in the room with me, no matter how they felt about my complexion,
right,
than be with somebody that they thought was a hillbilly, hick, or redneck. and I observed them be mistreated and abused simply because
You're right.
they came from Eastern Kentucky. And so, I mean, there's a good deal of that. So everybody's got something to overcome, and for him to deal with whatever specifically his was, maybe to his mind, when he's trying to make the point about being grateful to God where he's from, being grateful to God for his gifts.
Rick, you just
Well,
being
hang
kind.
on, wait a minute. Let me
Being
talk.
kind.
MeShorn, okay? Maybe everybody has something they have to overcome. And you know, some people it's one thing, some people it's another. And he was trying to make the point about the goodness and the graciousness of America the Beautiful, and the grace of God that we as Americans are born American. He's grateful for that. And he wasn't going to allow all the negatives that if he were to introduce that would come to blemish the picture he was painting.
Well, I'm gonna let you have that, but I'm gonna close it out with this idea that the fact of the matter is that as I am an American born in this country, there's no way I can talk about how proud I am to be an American. I'm proud to be an American without the fact of me being able to talk about the fact of the trials and the tribulations that I had to navigate to be the man that I am today through the racial tension and the experiences and the things that I had to go through. And for him to not engage that and have no dialogue of that at all just made me a little, hey, look, just made me, raise my eyebrow up and be concerned about, was he placating to the audience and everything.
Yeah, well,
but that's another conversation.
That's for me and you to do. Okay, he does his thing and we do ours.
Yeah, well, he's the one that got paid in there, right?
Well, he got paid, yeah.
So,
but him, he's doing his thing and what he's moving for.
Yeah.
What he is attempting to do is try. I think by example, he's trying to show by example that African Americans we don't have to allow our past to overshadow what we can accomplish in the future, and we have a tendency to live in the past.
No.
When we begin to talk about the present as though it's the past, the racism today and what we have to deal with and what we need to confront, and we do need to confront, is not what you and I and he confronted in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Well, you're not in the 40s. You know nothing about the 40s.
You're my senior, and I'm just under you a little bit.
Well, then remember that, young man.
But nevertheless, it's not to danger all that he said because it was very. It's no ding to everything that he said it was very powerful.
It's one of the hardest things for African Americans to do.
Descendants of American slaves.
Descendants of American slaves, whatever we want to be called today. The hardest thing for us to do is to talk about any issue without everything having to be through that prism. And I think he may be trying to be an example and show that there's a way you can deal with our present issues without everything having to go through the things that have to go through the prism, that have to go through the sieve, when we have the things that we have to confront. Okay, but he's trying to present things in a way where everything doesn't have to go through that sieve.
Well, that's the expand on that. Since I'm willing to get off of it, but I can't let you get off of it. Say that without giving you a comment.
He doesn't respect his elders,
The fact of the matter, the fact of the matter is that as a descendant, and this is the reason why I even embraced the idea of being a descendant of American slaves, because I believe currently my elders, failed to lay or clear the foundation for those who are my age and even me who are younger than me today struggles and things that's going
true.
on is that they're struggling because the things have not been laid for them to easily to cross over.
Right.
And one of the reasons was not
We didn't transition.
the transition wasn't the transitioning wasn't good, and the reason why the transition is not good is because these quiet, PC don't want to talk about certain things, and we don't want to go. And I think that the American European society miss not hearing things from our perspective about certain things that we experience. And I give you an example. When I arrived here in Kentucky, not being from Kentucky here at all, the first place that I arrived at was here at one of the military institutions here, where I had to deal with racism that I didn't experience the whole time I was in the military. But it's not until I got here that I experienced that.
Right.
I could not talk about who I am today without mentioning what I went through,
Right.
because of that experience. And
Right.
there is what developed me to be who I am. And that's all I'm saying,
Right.
is that, other people need to understand, I may be this great surgeon, I may be, this great speaker, and I may be this talk show host, but I got here by transitioning and going through something. And I think that that's why I said, that it looks like he went through a tremendous amount of great effort to keep that out.
I think what he did is he transitioned. His mother transitioned him. My mother transitioned me. My father transitioned me.
Right.
They let me know I didn't have to fight their battles. The progress that was made when I was in my teens and my 20s. Once that process was passed through, what I had to confront was no longer the beast that my parents had confronted.
Right.
I had a different animal, different monster to fight. And now, and because of the progress that was made, my children and now their grandchildren have an even different monster to fight.
Right.
And the monster, the monster, it has a different character and everything. But because what I think he's trying to, what I believe he's trying to move us off of is this idea that we have to still fight that old monster, because so many people have not transitioned. The baby boom generation, African Americans of the baby boom generation, have passed on to our children that everything is still 1965. And so many of our young people, when they think of it, they think of 1965, even though they weren't there.
Yeah.
He's in a spot where he's trying to point young people. He wants to be an example of somebody that points young people to the monsters they have to fight today, not the monsters of 1965. Show the book, America the Beautiful.
Yeah, everybody, this is the book and everything, America. I got my signed copy.
Right. Thanks for being with us. And MeShorn, thanks for
hanging out with you. Maybe we'll do this again next time.
Yeah, next time we'll have a little. We'll bring the boxing gloves and really go at it. Anyway, God bless you. This is the rest of the news, and be well.